The claim that I am refuting is the inability to marry harms homosexual couples. And just kind of by reading the claim, I felt it was like a little bit unclear to me, just the way she worded it. But as I went on to read, basically she was for gay marriage. And so the first claim that she stated was that without marriage, the basic rights and freedoms that come with it are not given to homosexual couples. And the evidence she had is that they are denied partners' health insurance, tax benefits, and there's a ban on adoption. Second, if their partner is ill or injures a significant other, doesn't have the right to make medical benefits. And according to the General Accounting Office, there's no guaranteed joint responsibility to the partner and to third parties, including children, in such areas as child support, debts to creditors, taxes, etc. In addition, private employers and institutions often give other economic privileges and other benefits only to married couples. And of course, when people cannot marry, they are denied all the emotional and social benefits and responsibilities of marriage as well. The claims to me seem to be kind of assumed. It should be more demonstrated. More examples should have been used to back it up. There is actually a lot more evidence that could have been found. It seemed that the speaker knew what she was talking about, but how does the audience know without telling us really how and why, and by really citing her sources? Without being able to convince the audience, I feel that it will be hard to prove your claim is true. More evidence would have led to better reasoning. I felt that there wasn't really a counterclaim for the claim presented because it is true, and I looked further into the evidence presented. There's no doubt that it is false. Homosexual couples are not given the basic rights and freedoms as heterosexual couples. Her second claim was that civil unions are not a good alternative to marriage for homosexual couples, and her evidence was that a civil union does grant some rights, like certain health benefits. Same-sex couples are still treated as two unmarried adults. According to Normal Love of Legal Protections program, states that couples who are united under the new law won't receive the same rights or enjoy the same benefits that heterosexual couples enjoy under the federal law. And also that same-sex couples still can't file for joint tax income returns. I felt that the evidence seemed to be better here, but the points, again, tended to assume statements are true when there is no citing from a source. Only one point is quoted from Normal Love of the Legal Protections Program, but other than that, there is not enough evidence to convince the audience. Evidence from DOMA, the California Defense of Marriage Act, should have been stated because it is a big source pertaining to the prohibition of gay marriage. And the reasoning is true when it comes to the third supporting evidence stating that same-sex couples still can't file for joint tax income returns. I found evidence from DivorceNet.com that states that unlike married heterosexual couples, united gay couples cannot file joint tax income returns. When it comes to the first couple statements, they do not seem to be true because I read deeper into what the civil union law would do, and my readings contradict the reasoning the speaker presented. My counterclaim is that civil unions are a good alternative to marriage for homosexual couples because according to a gay marriage report written by various writers in the California YMCA, youth in government, homosexuals would be given the same rights as married couples, including adoption rights, divorce rights, insurance policies, pension plans, Social Security, tax cuts, and many other benefits. They plan to make joint adoptions easier and available to couples within a civil union, and without the civil union, the law stands that it's easier for a gay individual to adopt than it is for a homosexual couple. It also makes it difficult when they have to go through separate legal processes. The gay marriage reports joint adoption allows both parents to have a legally recognized relationship with their child and costs less the complicated two-step process of co-parent adoption. And her third claim is that without marriage, same-sex couples have trouble forming a family, and her evidence is that in a same-sex relationship, children are seen as having only one legal guardian. The partner is not recognized. Second, that adoption is looked down upon due to the fact that the couple is unmarried and homosexual. And third, that the inability to marry causes one of the parents not to be able to have custody over a child in the event that the partner dies. I felt that the evidence can be backed up better with more evidence and better documentation. And the reasoning is well presented, but the speaker states in an earlier claim that there's a ban in adoption, but then states adoption is looked down upon. So is it banned or not? According to Kathy Belge from LesbianLife.com, most states allow single gays and lesbians to adopt children, but only 11 allow two same-sex parents to adopt. There's no counterclaim to me because same-sex couples do have trouble forming a family, but then again, if the civil union was the alternative civil union, would allow adoption according to the gay marriage report for the YMCA Youth in Government. Kathy Belge from About.com says children do well in homes where they are nurtured and loved regardless of the parents' genders. So basically, I think the best alternative for gay marriage would be the civil union law. Thank you.
All right, well, the main point is labeled pretty clearly, although you seem to be arguing that there's a lack of clarity on the advocate's part. You need to explain what the impact of that means. Your signposts on the secondary points are relatively clear, but you start listing a bunch of information on that first point and don't really tell us what it means, and then later it sounds like basically you're offering a critique of the advocate's argument instead of a response to the argument, suggesting that they could have proved their argument more effectively or used a different type of evidence, instead of pointing out that they used ineffective evidence or that there's contrary evidence that suggests an alternative conclusion. In fact, at one point you say basically their claim is true, they just didn't do a very good job of proving it. I don't know how that advances your position whatsoever. It got a little bit confusing on the civil unions because at first it sounded like you were criticizing civil unions as being an inadequate alternative to marriage, and then later on you're coming back to them arguing that they are in fact the way that most effectively allows homosexual couples to have the basic rights that you're talking about. Again, you come back to this issue that says basically they don't have those rights. Well, I don't get much analysis about what the rights are that they are denied. The only thing that is clear are tax issues, that they can't file joint taxes, but there's not any explanation about why homosexual couples can't own joint property, can't make one another responsible for their children through their wills or through a trust. Why it is that they can't own property together or have any other particular benefits using legal systems that are currently available to them. I thought that that was largely underdeveloped by the advocate and ignored by you, and instead you just kind of suggest later on that the civil unions meet those alternatives. And I think that that's a good response if you're consistent with it. In essence, the argument here should be that gay marriage is unnecessary because there are plenty of alternatives that allow homosexuals to have all the benefits of marriage that don't require them to be married, including civil unions and existing laws that protect them. I think that's maybe the more straightforward way to go at it. Again, we got a couple of arguments that deal with whether or not the advocate made a good argument and how they could have argued it differently, as opposed to what the problem with their argument was, why they were wrong, or what a contradictory argument was. Then you come down at the end on the civil unions, and you're making this much more clearly your alternative, and I think it works better than that you're focusing on that. And I thought you had some pretty good evidence on that. There's a little inconsistency on the adoption issue also. It sounds like the advocate said that there are problems with adoption, and you come back and basically say, yeah, there are problems with adoption, but civil unions may or may not fix that. Again, I think you need to clarify what your position is going to be on that instead of trying to have it both ways. All right, thank you.